Buckeyes. Ohio State coming off of a 1-1 draw in Happy Valley against Penn State. Meanwhile, for Damon Rensing's Michigan State, a 1-0 loss at number 8 Maryland. Michigan State will be in their gray kits. Ohio State in their all scarlet, and away we go. Turn off the world and turn on the game. We're playing for 3 points from Jesse Owens Memorial Stadium. Tyler Terrence along with 20-year head coach of Northwestern, Tim Lenahan. Coach, this should shape up to be a really, really good game between 2 teams that have showed their mettle and have played some of the better teams in the country, and 2 coaches who have certainly done an excellent job with their respective programs.
Ohio State, I think, has been the best team, most balanced team in the Big Ten all year. Only 1 loss. And Michigan State, on the other hand, played a really difficult schedule. They kind of hung around a little bit. They kind of kept the ship afloat, and now they're finding their form, and they're in position to win a Big Ten championship.
Start out with a bit of possession here for the Spartans. Nice little build-up here from Damon Rensing's side. Back heel maybe a little bit too clever, as got away from Will Perkins, and Ohio State will be able to clear their lines. But just for a moment, so Captain Jack Beck.
Coach Rensing mentioned managing the first 15 minutes. You know, senior night on the road. Want to make sure you match Ohio State's energy and effort. And so far in the first 2 minutes, they're doing okay.
Here's Sala. He's the playmaker playing in that number 10 role for Michigan State. In their typical 4-2-3-1. As we'll take a look at the starting 11 for the visitors. Owen Finnerty, the transfer from Michigan, gets the start in between goal. This isn't maybe necessarily the most stout defensive team that Damon Rensing has ever coached, but they certainly have been getting the job done as of late. And then Beck and Zugay will pull the strings in the middle of the park. 9 out of the starting 11 for Michigan State. All hail from the Wolverine State. Damon Rensing in his 14th season in charge of the Spartans. Coach, what do you think is going to be one of the big keys for the visitors if they are to get 3 points tonight?
They have a combination on how they attack. Sometimes they're going to go long, like this ball here, and then sometimes they're going to possess. We've seen them score goals where they put together 20 passes, but Coach Rensing also mentioned like getting forward quicker and putting some pressure. The one thing I notice about Michigan State, if they shoot on frame, they're scoring roughly 50% of the goals that they shoot on frame. So they did not get any shot against Maryland. Not on frame, no shot. So obviously they got to get more shots than that.
Well, that was the balance that he was talking to us about in our pregame call with him, saying how he tweeted that goal that they scored against Rutgers where they did connect 20-25 passes, and then against Maryland they were almost trying to be too cute, and there were moments where they weren't direct enough, and he said, guys, there's got to be a middle ground. It doesn't have to be looking like Manchester City, or it doesn't just have to be Route 1. We can sort of mix it up.
Yeah, possession for possession's sake. While it looks good, you can ask Arsenal how that's worked out for him for most of these past years. Although this year's a little bit of a different story.
Here is Lawrence Wooten, product of Cardiff Academy. Take the ball away in the middle of the field, though. And it's Jack Zugay, junior out of Ann Arbor, trying to thread the needle, and a little bit too much for Jake Spatafora, the freshman from Northville, Michigan. Very interesting balance of youth as well as veteran leadership for Damon Rensing's side. Good work between Grinstead and Tanner Creech. This Ohio State team just 1 loss on the season. And that came against the Terrapins of Maryland a few weeks ago.
When you mentioned this was not Damon Rensing's most stout defensive team, I thought you were a play on words for
Jonathan Stout.
Jonathan Stout, who Coach Rensing feels is in the hunt for Freshman of the Year in the Big Ten.
Well, it would have been even better if Stout played along the back line for Michigan State. But
yeah,
unfortunately for our lyrical purposes, he only plays out on the wing and he's in the attacking third.
Right.
In towards Creech. Here's the freshman again. Lawrence Wooten with another uncharacteristically loose touch. And our official Donovan Nucha getting involved for the first time tonight. We'll take a look at the starting 11 for Brian Masonoff's Buckeyes here. And as you mentioned, Coach, just an incredibly well-balanced side. They do it all defensively. They can go forward. And they've been getting some big help from their freshman striker, Tanner Creech, in addition to obviously the outstanding skill of Xavier Green in the middle of the park to go along with Lawrence Wooten. What's it going to take for Brian Masonoff's group to get 3 points and potentially push for a title on Sunday? They're
a veteran group that has really paid their dues over the year. Coach Masonoff was talking about their seniors that came in his first year that won one game, and now here they are with just one loss. So they have to rely on that veteran leadership. They have to take control of the game at home and keep Michigan State, really play mistake-free soccer. Find that balance between playing free and open and also playing discipline.
Giveaway there for the freshman Stout. A little bit sloppy earlier on from both teams.
So if I'm Michigan State defensively, I'm going to focus, make sure I pay attention to Wooten joining the play late. He's their leading scorer, from that 6-8 position, because he joins the play late, looking for second balls and balls being played back from the wing.
There's Samways. He had a goal against Northwestern last weekend, and the last touch coming off of Ohio State.
And you're going to see Ohio State leads the Big Ten in corner kicks. So that usually tells the coach that you're going to see a lot of flank play, a lot of 1v1, from Grinstead and Jansen.
Nick Stone trying to link up with Perkins, and Spartans being rather courageous here, trying to build out of the back of Mid-State. Boatload of Buckeye pressure. Perkins able to win it back again.
Perkins also one of the leftovers from the 2018 Final Four team. Just an amazing run by Coach Rensing with that group to get to Santa Barbara. That year, 3 of the 4 teams from the Big Ten, with Maryland taking it all.
Spartans, of course, bound out to Akron by a score of 5-1, but that game was a lot closer than what the final score read. Jack Beck actually had a goal in that 2-1 win over Louisville in the earlier rounds. Shots for a handball came off of the Australian from Canberra, Elijah Howe. Nice little 1-2. Here's Green into the penalty area, sends it across, and a good defensive play from Josh Adam. Now into space for Spatafor. Able to get on the end of this one. Watched closely by Owen Sullivan. Spatafor towards the edge of the area, and a really heavy touch from Will Perkins, although it was fizzed in by the freshman. And now here come the Buckeyes on the other end. This game rather stretched, not even 10 minutes in. Little hooked in delivery. And easy enough for Owen Finnerty, the senior from Walled Lake, Michigan, coming over from the Wolverines.
My guess is Coach Rensing doesn't want to really get into an up and down game this early. So a great run by Spatafor to keep the ball in play. But I'm sure he wants to keep a little bit compact and not allow transition from Ohio State.
Damon Rensing did mention to us that he would be very happy with a couple of goose eggs on the scoreboard 15 minutes in. He had a feeling that there was going to be some pressure from the Buckeyes early on, as this is sprayed to the far side by Sala. It's Will Perkins now, one of the 3 captains for Damon Rensing. Lawrence Wooten intercepting that one, but the ball more so found his feet rather than him finding the ball. Now Creech tasked with holding things up for the Buckeyes.
And you see Wooten's range, both in the attack and defending, all the way back into the box to intercept that pass. hence the phrase box to box.
Josh Adams, sophomore out of Brighton, Michigan, goes all the way back for Finnerty. It's Michigan State defense and Owen Finnerty, just 2 shutouts on the year, coming against Michigan and Wisconsin.
2 big wins. And that's one of the things about the Big Ten, the parity from top to bottom. You know, Ohio State last year did not make the playoffs, yet they beat Penn State, who won a double. So it gives you an idea of how difficult it is to win games in this league. And you can tell by my hair and the lack of it how much stress those things caused me over the years.
I thought it's just supposed to turn gray, not fall out.
Well, I had I shared with a friend of mine who's also bald, Jeff Haynes at Stockton University. I said, the good coaches are all bald. He said, yeah, but the great ones have a full head of hair. And he said that we went through and, talked about every coach, from John Calipari to Jay Wright.
Oh, Jay Wright's got a great head
to Alex Ferguson, to, I'm like, yeah, because they're better than us and they win their games. We just stress about ours. So.
I know you're a big RPI and analytics guy, but there cannot be any logic to that whatsoever.
Well, Pep is bald, so that's our only hope.
Yeah.
That's our only.
There's an exception to every rule.
Yeah, that's one of our few guys here.
Buckeyes being rather patient with this build-up, and the commentators curse in full effect as they give it away, but win it right back, and they'll recycle.
But he literally did go through Bill Self, Nick Saban, like all these guys with great touch. Great touch.
Here's Grinstead asking questions, going for the nutmeg, and the referee sharp to what Grinstead was trying to pull there. Not nearly enough in it to earn a penalty.
Great work here by Grinstead. A little wiggle here, gets a meg, and at this stage of the game, in this big a game, the referee's not going to make that call.
Excellent work over on the far side to win the ball back again for Ohio State. Xavier Green bobbled up, and Michigan State able to win it back, and now it's the Spartans in transition. Leading the counterattack is one of the skippers, Jack Beck. Now here's Jonathan Stout, out wide for Tyler Crawford. Freshman 1v1. Excellent 1v1 defending. Anthony Samways, the sophomore from Loveland, Ohio.
Very good defending by Samways there. A nice overlap by Crawford, freshman from Florida. But Samways equal to the task.
Samways a goal and 4 assists from that right back position. Came up through the Columbus Crew Academy. Coach Brian Masonoff saying he's got a very high IQ, can play outside back in addition to the midfield. One of the best technical abilities on his roster. Elijah Howe hitting the safety valve. Started every game but one so far this year for Damon Rensing. And he'll do well to keep an eye on the freshman Tanner Creech. 1 goal and 1 assist thus far. Grinstead. Tight quarters here for Samways. Able to spin out of trouble. Jansen slipping and allows Michigan State to break out the other way. Will Perkins. Plenty of gray jerseys skipping forward. It was intended for either Jack Beck or Stout. Big ball the other way, intended for Jansen. Boy, there have been a couple of instances so far, Coach, where there's basically no midfield to be found. And if either team can be a little bit cleaner in the counterattack, they might find themselves with a real opportunity.
Yeah, Michigan State's been able to break out a couple times. Perkins is getting wide on the flank, driving into the defense. but has to execute a little bit better in the final third, that last pass. Also like to see him once in a while maybe take the ball to the end line and see if he can get a corner kick. When you play on the road, you try to create whatever chances you can.
Samways nods it along. Green knew exactly where the run was coming from, and Grinstead still with it, trying to peel it back across. It should be a goal kick. Last touch was off Grinstead. Indeed it is.
Grinstead's been very active early. Been a handful for the back line of Michigan State. Nice little flick by Xavier Green. You see Grinstead come in, and the ball deflects off of him. So good defending there by Crawford.
Elijah Howe stepping forward once again. We've seen that a couple of times in the first 15 minutes or so, trying to get in front of these Buckeye attackers and making sure that they can't link up play with the likes of Lawrence Wooten, in addition to Thomas Gile, junior from Germany.
You see both strikers, both freshmen, both first-year players, not big on the goal scoring, but do a lot of things in order to keep the ball for their team and highlight some of those flank players who basically have been the finishers. Very similar in stats, and I think both coaches look for just hold-up play and then, you know, try to find those flank players who are really dangerous.
Here's Stout driving towards the heart of this Buckeye defense, going for goal. Certainly had some sting on it, but straight into the hands of Keegan McLaughlin, one of the best keepers in the country.
Yeah, you saw there why Stout's so highly touted. Coach Rensing very happy with his freshman class this year. Been a couple years where they've been, you know, away from that elite status that they had, but he feels they're on their way back.
Grinstead again, attempting to find Green. Finnerty stays home, lashed across, and a really important touch there from Finnerty. And it'll come out the other way. And the Michigan State keeper, although it wasn't a save, probably broke up a goal.
Really nice combination play between Grinstead and Xavier Green. Great job by Finnerty defending that secondary goal. As Grinstead was on the doorstep.
Well, the numbers probably won't be in favor of Finnerty, just given the schedule that they've been playing, especially in non-conference, and some of the quality of opponents, but he has made some huge saves this season to keep Michigan State in a number of contests. Here's Xavier Green again on the move. Creech offside, now it's all Green. Not exactly sure if he was going for a shot or a pass, but either way, it's a goal kick. And our State of Success is brought to you by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And our two success stories tonight, Coach, are the two keepers, Keegan McLaughlin and Owen Finnerty. Statistically, two of the better keepers in the Big Ten and probably two of the better shot stoppers in the country.
Both keepers are transfers. Keegan McLaughlin from Notre Dame and Owen Finnerty from Michigan. That's one of the positions you really can use the transfer portal. Just like college football, the quarterback, there's only one goalkeeper that plays. So a lot of times on the portal, you're going to get a very good goalkeeper that'll be transferring because maybe the coach made a decision to move with a younger player You know, save some scholarship money, something like that. Very similar to, you know, how the professionals work. So, you know, one man's trash, another man's treasure, and both these guys have been treasured for their coaches.
Jonathan Stout again asking plenty of questions. You can see why he likes to play on that left-hand side, wants to cut in on the right and cause all sorts of problems. 2 goals and 2 assists against the Scarlet Knights earlier this year in that 4-3 win. Forward by Nathan Demian, and Creech bothering Howe just enough, able to win a throw in deep in Spartan territory. It's down all the way back for defensive purposes. Jack Beck saw his pass cut out, and Ohio State will reclaim possession. Here's Thomas Gile. Nice little dummy. Shouts for a handball on Tyler Crawford. Referee says play on. Whipped in by Samways. Gile at the back post, and easy enough for Finnerty.
Nice work by Ohio State. Some good combination play. Service to the back post, but not much from that.
Well, Perkins keeps it in play. Well done by Wooten. And Louis Sala probably feeling like he was hard done. Minimal contact, but a savvy play in the end from Ohio State to win the free kick.
We talked about the parity in the Big Ten. There's 5 teams still eligible to potentially win a Big Ten championship with just 2 games to play for some teams, and other teams just 1 game to play.
First big one on Sunday will be Maryland and Indiana. Right now they sit at 1 and 2 in the Big Ten table, separated by just 3 points. Slip through, Green. Great little move there. Attempted to peel it back for Jansen. Velios. The Norwegian Jansen again. Now it's for Creech. Green, a rather hopeful ball. Samways will collect. Grinstead getting it back. Velios getting forward from the left back position.
Grinstead and Green are just buzzing around. And here comes Wooten.
Grinstead letting the ball do the work, maybe a little bit too much so, as Perkins getting stuck in. Creech lays it off. Gile from a long way out. This is the parity picture we were talking about in the Big Ten on the men's side, as see those 5 teams who are still in the hunt to be able to win the regular season title, of course, which was being defended by Penn State, winning the double last year. But Maryland and Indiana will square off on Sunday afternoon. Those slated games will all kick off at 1 Eastern time. Michigan State will play host to Northwestern in their final game of the season. Meanwhile, Wisconsin will play host to Ohio State at McClyman.
Yeah, those top 6 teams listed, only Rutgers doesn't have, they only have 1 Big Ten game left tonight. So they would not be able to win the championship, but everybody else there would. Michigan State were to get 6 points in the next 2 games, and then I guess if there was Maryland would lose to Indiana, they would both have 15 points, and Michigan State would have 16. And then Penn State still in the hunt to be co-champions, and then you get to goal differential for conference-only games. In terms of seeding.
Bit of our first substitution of the evening as Dakota comes on and replaces Joachim Jansen. Michigan State again on the counterattack, trying to catch the Buckeyes out of position. Nice little stutter step there, peeled back. The shot of the first time is well over the bar from Jake Spatafora, but another dangerous looking counterattack for the visitors.
They switch Stout and Perkins. Stout now on the right side gets a full 1v1 and takes advantage of beats Velios. We talked about Michigan State getting shots on target. All right, and this is a big chance here. Spatafora, the freshman, as his career goes on, he's got to put that on frame.
And so now the leading goal scorer for Michigan State, Grayson Mercer, will come on and replace the freshman.
Yeah, both teams have players that come off the bench that are very good attacking players. Actually, they're not just there to give the other team, to give the starters a rest. They're in there to change the game.
Here's Tyler Crawford. Trying to find the feed of Grayson Mercer. Those two not exactly on the same page. And now here comes Demian on the other end. Luciano Pacoda able to get it back. And fouled by Crawford. It's a needless foul as well, with Pacoda really not in any sort of dangerous position. And now a free set piece and some decent real estate for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, unnecessary foul. I do like the roll, though, that Pacoda put in. Threw a couple extra turns in there for the referee.
You don't seem like the guy who would be a fan of that sort of thing.
I am not a big fan of the roll.
Good ball in from Samways, met by Beck. Now it's Green. See what he was trying to do and curled into the path of Owen Sullivan, but requires some tremendous skill to be able to pull it off. Will Perkins called for the foul, and of course we were talking about Rutgers early on. They will be part of this doubleheader, the second half of this doubleheader here on the Big Ten Network later tonight. 8 o'clock Eastern against the Nittany Lions of Penn State.
Also excited to see Rutgers this Saturday on Big Ten Network playing UCLA, a future Big Ten opponent. So that game was scheduled probably years ago. Just, you know, coincidence that UCLA will be a member of the conference soon enough.
Looks like it's going to be a triple substitution for Brian Masonoff, as well as a single substitution for Damon Rensing. So Braden Durbin will come on, the senior from Pickerington, Ohio. In addition to Chris Dowling, one of the several seniors being celebrated tonight on senior night at Jesse Owens Memorial Stadium.
Great story, Dowling, that Coach Masonoff shared with us. Just, you know, I'm a big fan of the underdog. I can tell you every game that I coached at Northwestern for 20 years, I made sure my team thought we were the underdog, whether we weren't or not. But there's Dowling, who, you know, was a walk-on, but not only was he a walk-on, he tried to walk on 4 or 5 times before Coach Masonoff took him onto the team.
And here's a curling effort that's parried away by Owen Finnerty. And it was Xavier Green again, who has been mighty dangerous in the opening half hour of this one.
Green has just been a handful. Good take to the near post there. Try to catch the, usually when you come in with those hips open, you try to curl it to the back post. Try to catch the goalie cheating just a little bit. You got to watch Edding here. The big number 9.
Curled in. And cleared away. Ettling, another one of the seniors. Came up through the Columbus Crew Academy, earning his degree in sports industry.
He was one of the guys around from Coach Mazonoff's first year. Just had all kinds of injuries. A really dangerous player, physical, athletic, fiery. I remember doing the scouting report when we played him in 2018, emphasizing to my team how fiery he was. And sure enough, he got a red card in the first 10 minutes. So.
And that's going to be a penalty. Oh, it's a big mistake for the Michigan State back line. And it was actually the midfielder, Jack Zugay. Rather clumsy into the challenge. Ettling is taken down, and the senior on senior night earning the Buckeyes a penalty.
I did predict that Ettling would score a goal, but a great turn here. And again, just sloppy defending by Zugay there. Really doesn't need to reach for the tackle. But then, again, a great turn by Ettling.
So it's going to be Lawrence Wooten to take. He actually had his penalty against Northwestern saved. That was eventually put home by Samways. Here he is against Finnerty, and he buries it. 1-0 to the Buckeyes in this pivotal match against the Spartans. And it is that man again, Lawrence Wooten, one of the best midfielders in the country, who makes it 1-0.
Yeah, the senior Ettling stepping up on senior night to create that penalty kick. And like you said, Wooten had missed his PK against Northwestern. They did follow up and score, but he made no mistake about this one. Little stutter step, and then tucks it to the keeper's left.
Fifth goal this season for Lawrence Wooten, who hails from Stoke, England. Came up through the Cardiff City Academy over in Wales. He was voted the #4 freshman in the country in 2021. Can play the 6, 8, 10, and really is just one of those guys on your team that you're glad he's on your team. Brian Mazonoff saying that between he and Xavier Green, they bring the energy every single training session, and they create that sort of professional environment that Brian Mazonoff has been striving to foster in Columbus. And Wooten has been at the heart of all the success that the Buckeyes have had this year so far. Just one loss, and now they lead 1-0 in the penultimate match of conference play. And here's Green again. Ettling getting forward on the right-hand side. Wooten sees that touch get away from him. And Coach, you mentioned early on in the first 5 minutes, I asked you what one of the keys was going to be for Damon Rensing's side, and you said playing mistake-free soccer, and that challenge from Jack Zugay, we could chalk that up to a mistake.
Absolutely. You know, I mentioned it the other day, the spec goals, set pieces, errors, and counters, and that was definitely an error on Zugay. Again, just a little bit casual defending, and you stick your leg out. You want to move your feet, just keep them in front of you, force them to do something great to beat you. And I know Coach Rensing's going to be disappointed with that.
Step from Lawrence Wooten. He can't score as well as defend, and here he comes leading the counterattack the other way. Well behind Luciano Pacoda. Dowling pushes it along, Samways into the middle. Wooten was there, and Pacoda couldn't put it home. And the whistle's going to come out the other way. It looks like it is going to be a foul on Pacoda as he went sliding in on Zugay.
I mentioned earlier how dangerous Wooten is coming from that deep lying position. Came through there, a good block by Michigan State, and then the foul on the follow-up by Pacoda.
And that was actually Etling who was coming in for the first time effort. Pacoda in his freshman year as well. 2 goals and 3 assists to his first year campaign.
Sorry, not Wooten, Etling, as you mentioned. But again, you can see how active and physical he is. And again, Ohio State has a couple players that come in to change the game, not just give a break, but change the game, and they certainly have. And Coach Mazanoff talked about the depth. You know, when you have injuries during the course of the year, they didn't miss a beat because you got some guys on the bench that can come in and play when there's some injuries. In the past, when Etling maybe had been injured, you know, they kind of fell apart a little bit. This year, they've been able to kind of keep it going.
So now it's going to be a decent set piece opportunity, sort of a makeshift corner now for the Spartans. And Brian Masenoff not exactly happy conceding that sort of chance with just 10 minutes remaining in the first half. Particularly in this conference on the road, set pieces can be the difference between a point, 3 points, or no points.
Probably see an in-swinger here.
It's from Sala. It's a good delivery, met by Owen Sullivan. Zugay trying to keep it in the area. Referee waving off the penalty shout. Elijah Howe bulldozing his way through. Almost fell for Will Perkins and cleared away. Numbers still available here for Michigan State if they can recycle this properly. Sala lofting it in. Kept in play. A couple of bodies hitting the advertisement stanchions here in Columbus.
Okay, pretty good response there by Michigan State after giving up the goal. Keeping Ohio State pinned in a little bit. And I think that's what they have to do. They're not the most dynamic attacking team. Coach Rensing said, you know, let's see if we can get the ball in their end. And then, you know, keep possession, create set pieces, grind your way to get back in this game.
Maybe a little bit too hasty there from Wooten. Looking to track back defensively, forcing Will Perkins to go into negative fashion, and the Buckeyes win the ball back.
He's just a very good player on both sides of the ball.
Louis Sala trying to direct the Michigan State press and telling them to creep up the field a little bit further. Good entry pass into the captain. Touched along by Etling, intended for Pacoda. This one will trickle all the way back to Keegan McLaughlin. Ohio State only been shut out 2 times this year. That was against Maryland in their sole loss of the 2022 campaign, in addition to they'll draw with Cleveland State. Giving up the fewest goals in Big Ten, 25 goals for, 13 against. That's in all competitions this season.
That was their 5th penalty kick of the year, which means they're able to put pressure on other teams in the box.
Given away, and here goes Michigan State on the other end. Sala, tackled from behind by the number 10, Xavier Green. Now here's Chris Dowling to walk on. Push it along for Samways. Working on the freshman Crawford. Stands one up at the back post and a little bit too difficult to handle for Green, who had created that counterattack.
Michigan State, when they counter, they have to make sure they complete that pass, in that entry pass, or put your foot on it. You had numbers forward here. Maybe not choose the most difficult pass every time.
Here's Samways. Hooks it in. A little bit awkward for Elijah Howe. Came very close to being a handball. See why Samways has 4 assists from that right back position. Such good delivery in wide positions.
For Michigan, from Ohio State, Xavier Green replaced by 15.
Get all the news and highlights from around the conference on The Big Show, presented by Marathon, tonight at 10 Eastern on the Big Ten Network and Fox Sports app.
12 Nick Stone replaced by 17 Jeremy Sharp.
Bellio stepping forward, going for goal, and almost caught Finnerty off of his line.
Again, an unforced error by Michigan State, playing the square ball in the middle of the field. And then running away, caught in between. Belios with a pretty good effort there from his left back position.
So Schoeneman comes on and replaces Perkins. Jeremy Sharp, the freshman from Roseville, Michigan, also came on during that brief pause in play. Look at Jack Gugamis, 3 goals and an assist in his freshman campaign. A lot of young talent coming off the bench for Damon Rensing, in addition to starting as well between Spanafora, Tyler Crawford, and Jonathan Stout.
Coach Rensing very high on his freshman group. Really feels the best days of Michigan State are just ahead of him.
Long range effort from Pacoda, carried away into a rather dangerous spot, but cleaned up by Beck.
Speaking of outstanding freshmen, Ohio State has one right there in Pacoda.
Sharp sends it into a dangerous spot and cleaned up by Wooten.
So relaxed, defending
almost
there.
Almost too relaxed.
Yeah. That's confidence there.
Launched in, won by Sullivan. Heavy challenge from Zugay.
You see the flick on from Etling here. He gets 1v1. He's able to cut across and get a good take there. Good save by Finnerty. Michigan State has to really buckle down when these attacking wing players are coming at them 1v1. They're finding some space behind them on the flanks.
Ohio State, when they want to, can play some really pretty football. Here they go again. Velios out wide from that left back position. Sends it in, won by Beck. Wooten, positive first touch and maybe a little bit hasty trying to get into the mixer.
Michigan State just needs to get out of this half 1-0 and then regroup a little bit.
They are really pinned deep right now. A big disconnect between the midfield and the lone striker, Grayson Mercer. And Elijah Howe will send it long. Guganis going back for Crawford. Homecoming of sorts for the freshman, as grew up in Florida, but then ended up moving to Columbus and came up through the Crew Academy. Neat little touch on the outside and a little Schmeggers and a free kick for the Spartans.
Yeah, nice touch there for Velios, but he wasn't having it.
Do I owe you royalties every time I say Schmeggers?
I believe you do. Yeah. Like the Seinfeld episode, I'll sign all those 10-cent checks and have arthritis in my hand.
10, 9, 8.
Well, Ohio State more than happy to see this scoreline heading into the dressing room.
3, 2.
On senior night, Devin Etling, the redshirt senior, drawing the penalty, and then the main man, Lawrence Wooten, stepping up and burying it from the penalty spot. About 10 days removed from missing a penalty against Northwestern that was cleaned up by Anthony Samways, but the Englishman making no doubt about it. They're with a chance to win the league. A point certainly doesn't do them any good as far as that endeavor is concerned, so they will change formations. They're going to be a little bit more aggressive, but with this Ohio State team and how disciplined they are and how lethal they can be, it certainly is going to open things up for the home side, and those wearing scarlet and gray, buckle up for this second half, folks. Should be in for a good one. Tyler Terrens along with 20-year head coach of Northwestern, Tim Lenahan. 1-0 to the Buckeyes after the penalty kick from Lawrence Wooten in the 32nd minute. But Michigan State still very much in this game and alive as far as their Big Ten regular season title hopes are concerned.
Yeah, I like Coach Rensing's idea to go for it right away. No messing around. Ty really doesn't do anything for them. And with no overtime, they know they have 45 minutes to score 2 goals.
How do you feel about that overtime rule change?
I think in the long term, it's a really good idea. I think you're going to see that injuries are down this year. I'm not sure the stats, but you know, from what I've been watching, there's been a lot less injuries this year.
Jansen, some nifty footwork. Still Jansen, and saved by Finnerty. Jansen one more time, and it's knocked off a sharp.
I think Jansen surprised himself that he still had the ball. If you watch, he puts a little wiggle in here, and then he stops, and then he's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to have a go here. And a good save by Finnerty.
The Norwegian international, just with 1 goal on the season, but it was a big one, a game winner against number 7 Akron. Pardon me, that was 2021, which he scored that goal. There's a set-piece goal for the Buckeyes right out of the dressing room. And it's Nathan Demian, the sophomore from Vancouver, makes it 2-0.
That is an absolute backbreaker for Michigan State this early in the second half. But what a finish. Great service. And Debbie just pounds it home. If you're in the middle of that zone for Michigan State, you have to at least challenge there. But what a finish here. No doubt about it.
First goal of the season for Nathan Demian, and what a big spot. He's been a contributor since he stepped foot on campus last year. Played in all 16 games, and he has been a steady Eddie along the back line with Owen Sullivan. And the defender who's been helping that Buckeye defense keep the opposition out finally gets rewarded. His first goal of the season. And Ohio State with, yes, a cushion, but that all too dangerous 2-0 lead in the sport of soccer. Now, how will Michigan State respond? They were already behind the 8 ball and battling this Buckeye side uphill.
Michigan State, I think, needs to go to kind of a plan B here. Just keep the ball in Ohio State, hold possession, create set pieces. You know, just do whatever you can to kind of create chances. And if you have the ball in their end, that means you're keeping Ohio State's players in the defensive end. It's not that pretty, but it can be effective sometimes. They have 2 strikers. Let's see if they can get some service, get some wing play, get that 1 goal back, and then you work on the next one.
And Tanner Creech is going to be called for the foul. Brian Masonoff and the technical staff for Ohio State are beside themselves. Here's Grayson Mercer. Thought he had Will Perkins making a run, and Ohio State able to reclaim possession and a free kick through Lawrence Wooten.
You saw Ohio State there. Michigan State got the ball deep in Ohio State's end, but you saw the numbers that they got around the ball. Grayson had no other option but to try to get rid of the ball and gave the ball away.
Well, if Michigan State do want to win this game, they'll have to score at least 3 goals. The only team to do that against Ohio State this season was Akron, and that game was at Akron as well. Step from Stout, just out of the reach of Grayson Mercer, and that's sort of been the story of the Spartans night so far, Coach.
Yeah, and Coach Rensing identified it at halftime. He said, we've gotten in good spots. We just cannot find that pass. We're a little bit, I guess, impatient in execution. Delios gives the ball over. Stout, it's got to connect there to Mercer. And here's a set piece for Michigan State.
It'll be the in-swinger from Beck, albeit about 55 yards away from goal. Decent looking delivery, won by Sullivan, not for the first time tonight on a defensive set piece. And a chance at maybe 1 too many touches. Stout a little overzealous, trying to help that along early. Good ball sent the other way, but excellent tracking back from Josh Adam. The home crowd wants a foul, but very good defending from the sophomore. Now it's Will Perkins on the other end.
That's better. That's better there.
Now Beck lofting it in. Bit of a knuckleball that got away from him. Coach, not only is this an extremely big game as far as the Big Ten standings are concerned for Michigan State, but as far as their hopes for an at-large bid, playing against a ranked team like Ohio State on the road, sort of makes it a double whammy for Damon Rensing's side.
Yeah, they, you know, they're hanging around both in the Big Ten and in their RPI, you know, just probably outside the bubble. So if you can get a road win against the top 30 team, which is what Ohio State is, you get bonus points. So they could put themselves back in the mixer for not just the Big Ten regular season championship, but also improve their RPI so they can start to get into the conversation for an NCAA tournament bid. Michigan State doesn't have any top 30 wins right now, so this would be a big one for them.
Well, it's going to have to be a comeback of biblical proportions at Jesse Owens Memorial Stadium if they are going to win this game. You can see just how tight it is heading into Big Ten's version of Decision Day on Sunday. All 4 games kicking off at 1 Eastern. That one out of the reach of Jansen, and Pacoda was calling for it on the right side, and that probably was the correct pass.
And every game will have significance because, as we said, there's 5 teams vying for the Big Ten championship, but there's also 2 teams playing to make the playoffs. So it almost has the feel of, you know, championships and relegation, to be honest with you. So Northwestern and Michigan fighting to stay alive here. And as you can see, Ohio State, Maryland, Indiana, Penn State, if this holds, would all still be alive, depending the result tonight between Penn State and Rutgers.
And if Northwestern do want to get in, they'll need to pick up 3 points at Michigan State, in addition to getting some help from Michigan, who are playing host to the Nittany Lions. Beck drives it in, a little bit too close to McLaughlin. Caught a little love tap from Grayson Mercer as well.
As we mentioned, both goalkeepers just great pickups as graduate students coming from their respective institutions.
McLaughlin coming off the College Soccer News Team of the Week for 11 saves between the Michigan and Northwestern games. Xavier Green, such a great change of direction and change of pace in his arsenal. Pacoda. Jansen letting the ball do the work. Stripped by Beck momentarily. Now it's Green again. Wooten going for goal. And that's comfortable for Finnerty.
Really nice work by Ohio State between Pacoda, Green, and Wooten. I'm really impressed with Pacoda as a first-year player. Very clever, very good IQ, it looks like. And again, nice to have those options if you're Coach Masonoff, between Green, Grinstead, Jansen, and Pacoda.
Pacoda's been a little bit more dangerous than Grinstead on the evening thus far, and he's been getting rewarded with some big minutes in a huge Big Ten Conference game as a freshman. Tanner Creech switching the point of attack. Now it's the Norwegian Jansen. Gets a little bit of breathing room, goes for goal and cracks the woodwork. And Owen Finnerty is furious that nobody stepped to the international, and he almost made him pay. Second ball comes in, and it's over the bar. What an effort.
You're going to see here, Wooten makes a hard overlap, which forces the defenders, the help defense wide, which then opens parts the seas here for Jansen here. And he crashed one off the post, a little bit more of a bender there, and that tucks in. Really good soccer by Ohio State. But that bending movement by Wooten forced the help defense wide. That's where the Michigan State defenders have to communicate.
And the most beautiful part about all that, Coach, is that Wooten probably knew he wasn't going to get the ball, but just making the run forced the defense to switch.
Yeah, a 50-yard run not to get the ball. And, you know, that's what the great players do. You know, Karim Benzema, for a long time when Ronaldo Cristiano was with Real Madrid, you know, they kind of chided him for not scoring. But he made all the runs so Cristiano could score the goals, and you saw when Cristiano left, he became Ballon d'Or winner.
Back towards the back post. Excellent ball, knotted down. Shouts for a handball, but cleared away by Sullivan.
Very good ball by Beck there. And again, that's how Michigan State is going to get their opportunities. Get the ball in Ohio State's end, try to hold the ball, get a foul, get a corner. I don't think Michigan State's generated a corner kick tonight, maybe one.
Jonathan Stout, the freshman, still waiting to really get going in this game. As Jansen comes off and getting some instruction from the technical staff. It's Grinstead who comes into the game, so we'll see Grinstead and Pacoda on the field for the same time.
As you can see, Creech's job is really just to hold the ball, such that, you know, Green, Pacoda, and Grinstead can come running off of him. If they can keep possession, they did his job.
21, James Benavora, replaced by 13, Connor George.
You just heard the public address announcer at Jesse Owens Memorial Stadium announcing that Connor George coming onto the scene. Not a guy who gets a ton of minutes, but Damon Rensing trying to find some sort of spark in the attacking third. George, a senior out of Louisville, Kentucky, went to St. Xavier High School.
Here we go, Greg!
Sullivan, a bit of a hospital ball in the middle of the field. Mercer on the turn. This is much better from Michigan State. It is the substitute George. Really good defending from one of the two goal scorers tonight, Nathan Devian. And he commits a clumsy foul.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Demian was doing here. George just kind of slowed up a little bit as the ball was going out of bounds. He's not going to get it. And then he just clips his heels a little bit. And now a dangerous set piece. And if you can see, Michigan State's only really able to do this on set pieces. So if you're Ohio State, you have to limit the service from set pieces. And by the contrary, if you're Michigan State, keep the ball going.
Beck, good delivery at the near post, looking for Stout.
Good service by Beck to the near post here. Stout coming in hard, just a little bit over. But much better. But if you're Ohio State, you can't make stupid fouls. You have a 2-0 lead.
Flicked along, George putting pressure on the back line, but Samways with an important touch. That one got away from Pacoda. And will go all the way back for Finnerty. Coach, when you're thinking about this Buckeye team and the balance and the veteran experience to go along with some options off the bench, are they poised to make a deep run potentially into the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'd like to see if they got into a really tight grind game, you know, which the NCAA games just get a little bit, you know, less transitional and a tight game. So, but they certainly have the pieces. They have depth. They have good goalkeeping. They have veteran defenders, and they have some really clever attacking players that can make things happen. I mean, this is a one-loss team after 14 games. And that was just to Maryland, which I believe was on the road.
One loss against number 8 Maryland at the time. Less than a half an hour remaining in this one. Tyler Terrence along with Coach Tim Lenahan. Number 13 Ohio State with a 2-0 lead over the Spartans of Michigan State. And if the result does hold, the Buckeyes will have an opportunity on Sunday to potentially play for a regular season title if they do get a little bit of help. Here's Xavier Green. Edling making the run. The senior on senior night going for goal, and Finnerty didn't exactly have his feet set, but makes the save.
again, Michigan State gave the ball away when they had a chance to do something. Green plays a great ball to Etling, gets that big body around, and almost sneaks it to the far post. I know Etling's had a lot of injuries. He's not able to play tons of minutes, but I can tell you the minutes he's played tonight have been terrific.
Perkins trying to turn out of trouble, but maybe a bit too cute, although another mistake from Ohio State allows the Spartans to be able to continue their attack. Stout all the way at the back post and got it all wrong. Crawford keeps it in play, and Demian will hit the safety valve. Rough challenge from Elijah Howe on Etling.
Howe, the Australian, 23-year-old Australian. He's been in a few battles over the years.
Good to see those two laugh it off.
Yeah, probably 5 years ago, Etling, the next play, would have knocked Howe into the next county. But age and wisdom provide some good choices now.
Here's Mercer. Cuts it back, eludes a couple defenders. Still trying to stay with it and cleared away by Gile. Look at the work rate from Xavier Green, but Nick Stone stepping through and winning the free kick.
I mean, I like the response by Michigan State. Again, it's not the prettiest of soccer, but it's effective here as they can get the ball wide and serve and put Ohio State under a little bit of pressure, force them to defend the box.
Perkins splits the double team, sends it across, and there was really nobody making that run in the middle of the park, and then it's deflected in, and it's the substitute, Connor George, and all of a sudden we have a game in Columbus.
Exactly the way we were talking about it. They played a set piece, a quick set piece wide. Perkins was able to get behind the defense, and then the second ball coming out here, you can see good move by Perkins. He cuts it back. All right, the ball gets knocked out, and then George is there. Brilliant substitution by Coach Rensing. A player hasn't really played much all year. He comes in and gets a big goal for you.
Connor George coming into tonight had just 57 minutes to his name in 5 appearances, scores his first goal this season.
Assisted by 5, Jack Suzuki. 65th minute of play, Ohio State 2, Michigan State 1.
And like you said,
Substitutions.
Damon Rensing coming out smelling like roses.
And Zuge was the guy who played the ball, took the shot, so a little bit of, you know, a little bit of word I'm looking for here. Redemption.
There
yes,
it is.
Redemption. A little bit of redemption.
Here's Xavier Green. Etling trying to go for the back heel. It falls for Green. Another back heel. And cleared away by Zuge. All stayed in play. Mercer tracking back, attempting to hold it up. And a little bit more of a frantic pace to this one after the opening goal from the Spartans. Here's Chris Dowling. Wooten. Long for Samways. Good delivery in, hoping for Parker Grinstead, and trickles all the way out. Followed up by Velios. The Canadian trying to lash it across, and an awkward one for Josh Adam, and a corner kick coming up for the Buckeyes.
Samway's done a very good job overlapping on that right side and getting service in the box. And even though they weren't able to get the first ball, you know, the second ball came out on a misclear. Good job by Velios here to earn a corner.
Buckeyes got their second goal from a set piece on this same side. It was Nathan Demian who rose above the pack to double the lead of the home side. Samways delivers again. for Owen Sullivan at the back post. That was very much designed, looking for the big center back. And cleared away by another center back in Elijah Howe. Etling with that outstanding work rate. Takes it on the first time, and what a save from Finnerty. Fantastic soccer on both ends. And this senior almost put this one to bed, if not for an outstretched paw of the Michigan transfer.
Great work by Etling here. So dangerous. And just an absolute bomb with his left foot. Outstanding save by Finnerty. But Etling is having a night here. When I coached against Ohio State, he was the one player that really scared me because of his physicality and his relentlessness.
Here he is again, rising for the header, met by Grayson Mercer, though, of Michigan State. The quality of both of these sides coming to the surface here with a little more than 20 minutes remaining. In for Etling. Runners in the area. Wooten was the last runner at the back post. Sprinting to try to keep it in play. Beat to the punch by Will Perkins. It'll be interesting to see who the last touch is off of. And it is Perkins, corner for Ohio State.
So Ohio State has the luxury of playing Creech and letting him come in and hold the ball. And, you know, the backs get a little bit tired, and they bring Etling in with a little bit more dynamic, attacking force. And he would be the guy if in an NCAA tournament, as Coach Mazanoff mentioned at halftime, that's going to be a key guy.
Samways, another good delivery. Headed away by Beck, and look at Jonathan Stout, the freshman, with the composure to turn in his own penalty area and try to spring the counterattack the other way. Mercer along for Elijah Howe, the Aussie center back getting forward. Wants to get involved in the fun. It'll fall for George. Can he make it too? And it's going to be a corner on the other end. Frantic end-to-end soccer, and Connor George looking to have a night to remember in Columbus.
The play that you draw up, the overlapping center back, who then plays an outside of the right foot bender into your player who never plays, who then creates a great chance. So I don't think they worked on that in the training ground, but great stuff. And again, Michigan State just keep putting pressure on Ohio State. Keep putting them under pressure. Force them to defend that box over and over and over again. And if they do it, they deserve to win the game.
Now it's Louis Sala on top of the corner. 6 assists on the season. Good looking delivery, met at the near post, and it's off the crossbar. It was George again. Bent in by Stone, another excellent looking ball, and George one more time trying to get ahead to it. And this time it's gonna go out for a goal kick. Ohio State under an overwhelming amount of pressure, and it was almost 2-2, and Connor George calling for a sub. He's exhausted.
George off the crossbar, and then the repress. He gets another service. And again, seniors, veteran guys, they understand that they're getting towards the end of their career, and they're going to leave it all on the field. And as you can see, George's exhaustion, since he hasn't really played that much, that's about as good a shift as you could have.
So the freshman Spatafora will come back on and replace the senior Connor George.
Now Spatafora has all kinds of talent, but he needs to bring the same sense of urgency George just brought in his 10 minutes that he played.
Good pressure from Salah. No relation to Muhammad. Mercer attempting to cut it back. And last touch will be off of Michigan State. Spartans were hoping that they were going to be able to get it. Spatafora couldn't quite clean it up. Under 19 to play now. The back by Adam into the comfortable hands of Finnerty, who's made a couple of excellent saves to keep this at a 2-1 game.
Michigan State's adjustment to go 4-4-2 has been effective. The thing that killed them was that set-piece goal they gave up, you know, just a minute and change into the second half.
Substitution in the 72nd minute for Ohio State, 11.
And you have to imagine that the post-game presser for Damon Rensing is going to read, well, if we played with the energy that we played with in the second part of the second half, we wouldn't have found ourselves down 2-0.
Yeah, it's like when you're watching football and the team goes into the 2-minute drill and they go right down the field. You know, why didn't you do that all game? But that's the reality here.
So Pacoda will come on and replace Xavier Green, who I imagine will get a brief rest and reprieve from this frantic action. Not sure if that was the intended target.
That's a great ball by Finnerty.
Mercer trying to help it along.
Again, Mercer touched the ball away from the defender. Trying to get a switch in the point of attack.
Substitution in the 73rd minute for Ohio State.
Coming up, our men's soccer doubleheader continues as the Scarlet Knights face the Nittany Lions. That's coming up next on Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Really good one between Rutgers, who sport an outstanding attack going forward, and the Nittany Lions, a very well-balanced and well-coached group by Jeff Cook, defending the double.
M.D. Myers for Rutgers has been an absolute revelation, leading the nation in goal scoring.
Offside flag is going to go up. Still plenty of time for Michigan State to get back into this one. If they can get one more goal, all bets are off as to who is going to win this game. As Xavier Green with about a 90-second water break and back out onto the field. Excuse me, that was Parker Grinstead. Delay a little bit too long on the ball and gives it away. And now here come the Spartans. Into the path of Mercer, excuse me. Nathan Demian coming along. You talked about it earlier, Coach. Grayson Mercer looks like just needs to simplify things a tad. He's been in good positions and he's checking back to the ball, but it's that little bit of link-up play that's eluded him.
Just a little bit impatient. You got to slow everything down. You know, when you connect that pass, you're running 100 miles an hour. Your mind is going 100 miles an hour trying to hold guys off. He's doing that. And then all of a sudden you have to slow things down in order to execute the pass.
So Edling will come off. He's put in quite the shift tonight as well off the bench. Grinstead couldn't get a hold of it.
Good job by Spatafor right there.
Stone going to ground. How about the work rate from Velios to win it back? Now you're seeing some bruising Big Ten soccer.
Good combination. Spatafor held the ball, but then Guganis gave it away and then tracked back and fouled.
Looks like Will Perkins waiting to come back into the fray in addition to Xavier Green. Grinstead. Velios. Pacoda. It's a decent idea, but he's going to require something special to pull it off. Gugamis.
There's good work by Michigan State there. They won the second ball. Now get the ball to Crawford.
Crawford's delivery took a deflection away by Demian. comes the German Gile. Pacoda. Probably had a better option out wide. So it looked like Chris Dowling was in a bit more space than Tanner Creech. Okay. Nathan Demian forced to backpedal and send the ball out of play. He's one of our 2 goal scorers tonight for the Buckeyes.
Substitutions in the 77th minute for Michigan State.
But you can see we're getting into a game where it's transition followed by transition followed by transition. That favors Michigan State. I don't think Ohio State wants to get into this up and down game. They have the 2-1 lead. They want a little bit more control of the game, but you can see it's kind of transition followed by transition. Ohio State now, on the other hand, rather than just try to counter all the time, maybe get the ball into the Michigan State end and hold it just a little bit.
Step from Stone. Trying to go back for Perkins. Excellent challenge from Gile, but Spartans will go again. Perkins bumped off the ball. Michigan State looking for a foul, but not going to get any sympathy from the referee on that play. And now it's Creech on the other end. Xavier Green making a run in the middle of the park. Creech for Green. Xavier Green with the outside of the foot and couldn't quite curl it home.
Great transition by Ohio State. Michigan State was caught. Creech did a good job committing the defender. Went for the outside of the foot bender. One of my favorite balls, but caught it just a little bit flat.
On the move, that is such a difficult finish.
And again, Michigan State can't give up the third here, and they're totally caught in transition.
This one's along for Creech. Oh, wow, that's a sitter of epic proportions. He can't believe he missed it. And you don't need to be an expert in lip reading to know what he's saying to himself.
So now Green comes to Creech, the reverse of the last one, and tried to tuck it in that near post. The ball's kind of coming across. You got to get your hips open just a little bit more than he did. And I always remind every time I do a game, when I critique forwards, that I scored 1 goal at Division III. Okay, so
were you a forward though?
Well, I was not, but still, I only scored 1 goal at Division III. There's a reason I wasn't a forward. But from the booth here, I've scored thousands.
Howe. McLaughlin off of his line. And able to more than 10 minutes remaining in this one. 3 points to Ohio State. And they can play for a regular season title on Sunday. Meanwhile, Michigan State need 3 points of their own to keep their regular title season hopes alive. This one just launched in the other direction into the feet of Owen Finnerty. Ohio State will be at Wisconsin. Michigan State will be hosting Northwestern in the final day of Big Ten regular season play. Xavier Green off the mistake and a save from Finnerty. The follow-up from Creech couldn't be had and gobbled up by the keeper again.
And this is what happens when you're Michigan State and you're trying to push so many numbers forward. Green does a great job. Creech on the doorstep here. But I think that was back there that cleared the ball away. And again, Michigan State trying to play a little bit too much out of the back right now with 9 minutes and change left. They had their success just kind of getting the ball forward, getting second balls, creating set pieces.
Ball in from Samways, not his best delivery. Kept in the neighborhood by Gile. And further along for Will Perkins. Mercer. What a terrific ball, it's Connor George. But the offside flag is up. Grayson Mercer with eyes in the back of his head to find Connor George. who was turned into Damon Rensing's super sub.
That was a great ball by Mercer, great read. George sprinting forward, just... did they call foul or did they call offsides? Did they call? They called foul on it. Okay, all right. Because George was definitely on sides.
Samways is making the argument that George should potentially go into the book. Meanwhile, George is just upset he didn't get onto the end of that pass. Sunday, stream men's soccer live on the Big Ten Plus app as the Spartans host the Wildcats and the Buckeyes take on the Badgers to conclude the regular season. There's no plus like home. Download the Big Ten Plus app and subscribe today.
Again, all the games significant on Sunday.
Salah causing all sorts of problems for Samways, who was running back towards his own goal.
Substitutions in the second minute. For Michigan State 23, Lewis Salah, replaced by 6, Jonathan Stout.
So again, just a reminder of how important this game is. Ohio State can move into second place if they hold on. And we'll have an opportunity to play for a Big Ten regular season title on Sunday. They would obviously need a little bit of help.
Yeah, 3 points by Ohio State and then maybe a draw in that Indiana Maryland game would give them the outright championship.
Pacoda, excellent ball towards Creech, helps it along for Gile.
Ohio State's going to get chances. That's what you tell your team. We can just be steady defensively. We're going to get our chances because Michigan State is so open. And again, Pacoda, really impressive.
Read my mind. I was going to say he is going to enjoy quite the career at Columbus. Etling back on senior night to try to help close this out. Oh, and what a heavy challenge that is from Gugamis. It wasn't nearly as intentional as it might have looked at home. A definite yellow card for the freshman.
Yeah, really reckless challenge here from Gugamis. And again, he's kind of lucky that he got the yellow card because the referee stopped the clock. But the one thing you can't do if you're Michigan State now is foul, because that clock is ticking, ticking, ticking. And every time you foul, 30 seconds, 45 seconds goes by.
Excellent recognition and sportsmanship from Gugamis to go over to Jansen. Obviously wasn't his intent to absolutely level the sophomore from Norway, but seemingly that was the result. Schmeggers from Jansen. Etling peels it back. Almost fell for Wooten and cleared away. Terrific control from Stone. Will Perkins asking for it. He started out as a winger, has now moved to right back. Brian Masonoff and his technical staff are absolutely furious that that recent play wasn't called a foul. Now here's the freshman Stout into the feet of Mercer. Splits the double team and a crunching challenge between he and Velios.
Great tackle by Velios there.
Etling, the never-ending motor keeps going. Couldn't quite corral it. Chris Dowling waiting to come on. Samways goes to ground. Ohio State doing everything that they can right now to seal this result. And depending on who Dowling is coming on for, you could see the entire senior class for Brian Masonoff, all 4 of them on the field at the same time to see this one out.
Good touch by Mercer, and Velios came in knowing he had to win that tackle, and he did. Just a great tackle. When it all breaks down, sometimes it just comes down to 1v1.
This one's going to be brought back for Ohio State, who are a little more than 3.5 minutes away from being in 2nd place in the Big Ten, and a win and a little bit of help from that Indiana-Maryland game from being Big Ten regular season champions. And what a journey it has been for the Buckeyes and for Brian Masonoff. Just 4 years ago, recorded only 1 win. At this point in the season, with 1 game remaining, they've only lost 1 game, and it was to the number 8 team in the country, Maryland. Xavier Green, wise beyond his years here, tripped up in the corner, and a free kick for Ohio State, and that'll milk even more clock.
And full marks to the Ohio State seniors on senior night. They brought their A game here between Green, Etlin, McLaughlin, and then Dowling coming in and giving them some important minutes. And again, the great story of Dowling being a walk-on that was told 4 or 5 times, we had no room for you, and then finally found his way onto the team his 3rd year, and now is a critical member, a key member of what could be.
And here was the pregame ceremony honoring those 4 seniors who have given everything to this program, taking it from the bottom of the Big Ten barrel to quite literally the top. And Brian Masonoff was gushing about this senior class on our call with him earlier in the week. And particularly the story of Chris Dowling. Said that it was a story that he will tell for decades to come about perseverance and just a never say die attitude. Received dozens of calls from Dowling when he was told time and time again that there simply was no room. Finally, a spot opened up, and he played his way not only onto the team, but into a significant role. As Michigan State still with an opportunity to potentially get a point out of this and really play the part of spoiler on senior night, and for Ohio State to have hopes of a Big Ten regular season title. 90 seconds to play. Beck all the way at the back post. Circling back around to Zuge. Shouts for a handball, and it's going to be given. Or excuse me, a throw-in.
Mercer did a great job that previous play to set up a corner kick, took his defender to the corner and just kicked it off his shins. Now we have a big throw. And again, another corner here.
And Michigan State needs to be quick about this, and his teammates are urging him to be hasty about taking this corner.
Make sure you get your numbers in. Make sure you have the right guy serving the ball. Somebody at the near post, too.
Howe lining it up. Cleared away by Pacoda. Finnerty well off of his line. Gugamis mistimed it, and now it's Etling going to ground in a big collision with Josh Adam. It'll stay with the Spartans, though. 25 seconds remaining.
Here comes the last service of the game.
It's on the left peg of Jack Beck, all the way at the back post, nodded back across the face of goal, but steered out of play. Grayson Mercer couldn't quite corral it, and Ohio State are going to pick up 3 points on senior night in Columbus and have an opportunity at a Big Ten regular season title. What a win for the Buckeyes. 2 big goals, one from Lawrence Wooten from the penalty spot in the 30.